everybody, it's Julie. Thanks for joining me today for a Bible journaling process video. This is my inspiration for this page. It's a bottle of fragrance mist from Victoria's Secret. And it just goes to show that you can get your inspiration anywhere. I'm here in Galatians journaling about the fruit of the Spirit. And I'm going to start off by using some Shimmerz Spritz. This is one of the shimmery sprays and I love these. This is cotton candy color. I just spritzed it on my page and then I'm using a wet paintbrush to kind of push it around the page. When it dries, you can see the shimmery effect. It's light. You can still see through it. It is wet, so you kind of have to flatten your page out and then dry it. It helps with if you have a heat tool. I cut that out, but I did use my heat tool. Now, the stamp set I'm using is called Fruit of the Spirit by Sweet'n Sassy Stamps. It was part of the August release, so it is available. I'll have that linked. And what I'm doing here is actually starting off by using the back of the stamp. And this is part of that inspiration from that bottle of my, my fragrance. So because it's the back of the stamp, it's not meant to really stamp with it, but you can. But so you can see I'm not getting a perfectly clean impression. I'm using, this is Worn Lipstick, the color, it's a Distress Oxide ink. And I'm going to be doing some embossing today. So what I'm doing to make that clean impression, I'm just coming back over it, and then I pick up the page from behind and kind of press it against that. There's a little bit of a dip in the back of the stamp. Because again, I'm using the back side of the stamp for right now. This is just going to give that outline for the stamp. I'm doing two-step stamping. Then I'm going to come in afterwards and give the outline of the stamp. So this is the watermelon. So again, I'm doing Fruit of the Spirit, and on the opposite side of the page is where the verse is actually contained, and I've already stamped and I've already journaled that page, but I'm going to journal it over here. So now I'm using, this is called Cherry Apple, Candied Apple, and I'm going to come in with the outline. Now I'm doing it slightly offset. So now I'm using the front of the stamp. And I don't want it to be directly on the background. I'm doing it slightly off. Okay, now I'm coming in with the second image. This is the citrus stamp. So it could be an orange, it could be a grapefruit, a lemon, a lime, depending on the color that you use. And I'm doing it in this pink, so I guess it's kind of like a pink grapefruit. And again, I'm using the back side, so you're not going to probably get a clean impression. So I just come in and I press it from behind so that I can get that better impression. And I'm just stamping that in various places, various directions. Distress Oxide is a blend of a pigment ink and a dye-based ink, so it is a little wet, so that's why I was drying it with my heat tool. And I'm coming in with some of the images and giving it that outline. Now I'm coming in and I want to give just the outline in a few places. I'm just giving a collage effect for the whole page on the background. The good thing is with these stamps, with this ink, you can still see through them primarily. So I'm not covering any of the text. You can still see through and read all of the text if that's a problem. Sometimes I cover my text completely with my artwork, but on this page I'm not. I can read through it completely. Now I'm showing you a little tip. Sometimes you can just, without using the block, like for that, I wanted to get it over on the edge, so I just took it off of the block and just stamped it by holding it. Okay, now I'm going to come in and use these stamps that say Bear Much Fruit, and I'm using my VersaFine Black Onyx ink, which is, it does bleed through, but it's a very clean, clear, crisp stamped image that you get. Although, because my page is wrinkly and wonky, I do have to come in and clean it up a bit because it was slightly blurry. So I come in with my marker and I just clean that up. A very easy fix. So if you've never tried that before, just fixing where it gets a little blurry or a little wonky, just clean it up with your black marker. If you use black, I guess if you use a different color, you can't. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to come in and we're going to do some embossing. Now I'm using a kit from Ranger. It's called the Letter It kit, and before I start embossing, I'm going to use my my EK Success powder tool. This gets the static off the page, it gets the oils, anything that the powder is going to stick to. So I'm just brushing that along the whole page. It's a barrel with powder in it. And then this ink pad, it's an embossing ink pad. It's very wet, and it's going to make the embossing powder stick to it. Now, probably what I should have done is stamped it off first, just to get that first inking off over on the scratch paper, because that first one that I did was very wet. So it probably would have been best, and just a tip, the very first time you use this ink pad might be good just to practice with it a little bit, because it's very juicy and wet. So just play around with it a bit. So I'm going to, this is a gold color, and it's going to be so shiny. Just wait and watch. So this is part of a set that I got at Michael's, and I will link it. It is orderable. You can order it through scrapbook.com, or you can pick it up sometimes at Michael's, various places. Now, when you heat set this embossing powder, see how it melts? And once it melts and dries, it's so shimmery. Look at that, it's so shiny. As a matter of fact, it was hard for me to get a picture of this page because the gold was so shiny that it just reflected so much. It was hard to get a good image. So now I'm going to come in with the citrus stamp, and I'm going to stamp that along some of these images. So I'm getting a variety of the embossed images, the ones that are in the candy apple color, and then those that are just the offset with the pink and then the candy apple. So you get 3 different variations here. And I'm sprinkling the powder there. Embossing is messy, so if it's something that just stresses you out, embossing may not be what you want to do, because you do get it on your desk, you get it kind of all over the place. But you can just use a brush and brush off some of that anywhere that it falls. Again, that EK Success powder tool is very important. Sometimes it's called a magic buddy, depending on the kind you get. It does help so that you don't get that embossing powder all over the page. It doesn't stick all over the page. Now I'm going to come in with this embossing pen, which came in that kit. Now you can buy these products individually, or you can get it in the kit. And I'm going to come in and draw just some little dots and hearts, not hearts, little crosses around my page, just to add some more gold elements. And I end up adding one random dot in one random place over by itself. I didn't realize it till actually when I was watching the video here. I get some of the powder in my gutter there, so I just use my brush and I brush that off. Good thing about these this embossing ink, it's very wet and it stays wet for a good while, so you've got some leeway time. You can sprinkle the powder and then do another one and sprinkle the powder. It's very flexible. And then if you mess up, you can even just kind of dry it off, wipe it off, and then you can do it again. So I like that little extra effect with the crosses and the dots. It just kind of added a nice detail. I'm not going to go into the passage here. We've all studied, well, maybe we haven't all, but we've studied the passage about the fruit of the Spirit and how we should bear fruit. When we submit and walk in the Spirit, that's when we can bear fruit. The Spirit living in us allows the fruit of the Spirit to shine through us and for us to bear that fruit. So that's why this page, I really wanted it to be shiny and glimmery and glittery and shimmery, because it's like that fruit shining out of us through the Holy Spirit. I add a little bit of washi tape and a bow that's fruity up at the top. And then I'll add some journaling off screen, and then there's the page. It's a little bit of a process with the embossing, but you get a high impact with that embossing. It's just, it's so pretty and it's fun. So I hope this video inspired you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, God bless. Bye-bye.